welcome to my channel. I am Tori Lynn. Let's blossom today. Today I'm creating this really fun coppery gold cut crease Thanksgiving inspired makeup look. Thanksgiving is just a few days away, and I thought that it would be fun to bring you guys a Thanksgiving makeup look in case you guys were looking for an idea for a Thanksgiving makeup look. If you guys are interested on how I created this look, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's just jump into the video. I'm going to quickly go ahead and throw on my eyebrows and prep my lids because the look I want to go for is going to be a little darker and maybe a little messier, and it's one of those days where I have a look in mind but I don't have an exact route, so I want to do my eyes before I get my skin done in case I don't like it. That way I won't have to redo the whole thing. I can just wipe my eyes off and start over. So like I said, I'm going to throw my brows on and prep my eyes. So for my brows, if you've watched my makeup videos before, then this is going to be a huge shocker. I'm going to be using my e.l.f. Instant Lift Brow Pencil in the shade Taupe. I use this pretty much every day. This has been, for probably the last 6 months or more, my favorite brow product. I'm going to go ahead and throw those on. And then for concealer, I'm going to use my Tarte Shape Tape to carve my brows out. And I'm also going to use this as my lid base or primer. So I will be right back. So let's go ahead and jump into, I know I just used this palette on my channel, but I just think that this has like the prettiest fall colors. And when I think of like Thanksgiving, I think of browns and oranges and reds, and I just think that this has the prettiest shades for Thanksgiving. So we're going to use this palette. This palette is the Tartelette Toasted palette. I'm going to start by taking the shade called Latte. It's the lightest brown shade in the palette. And I'm going to work that in the crease. Then I'm just going to kind of keep darkening this crease shade up just one step at a time. Let's go with the shade called Cozy. It's this really warm toned, almost burnt brown color. And then I'm going to work that right in the crease. I'm going to start kind of in the outer corner and work it in the crease as well. But I'm just going to kind of start working it a little bit tighter in the crease, not as far out, if that makes sense. And this time I'm going to start bringing it down onto that outer portion of the lid a little bit more. Then I'm going to go in with an even smaller, denser brush. I'm going to go in with the really dark, actually the darkest shade in the palette called Fireside. And I'm going to go even tighter in on that crease right in the outer corner and then down onto that lid. And I'm just really darkening up that crease, just really building some dimension in there. And I am bringing the shade all the way in to that inner corner. Now I'm trying to keep this shade pretty confined to the crease. I'm not really smoking this dark shade out. I'm not dragging it anywhere. I'm keeping it right in that crease. So when I do that, I kind of start in the outer crease with my eye closed. And then I open my eye up, which really forces that brush to stay right in that socket. It can't really go up or down. It just kind of stays right in that crease. So I open that eye up and drag it all the way into that inner corner. Kind of gives it like just this little track to stay in. And then as I get closer to that outer corner, I start to kind of bring it down onto that lid more and bring it out a little more as well. And I'm going to bring it about halfway into the lid. Now I'm going to take the orangiest shade in the palette called Warmth right there in the middle, and I'm going to kind of smoke out that outer edge with this shade. Just really wanted to add some warmth in there, some kind of orangier shade to it. Now I'm going to take a nice fluffy blending brush and give everything a good blend. Now I was debating whether I want to do a cut crease or what I want to do, and then I remembered I have these liquid eyeshadows in my drawer that I've had for a while. This is from a brand called Nice Face. I actually got these from Amazon a few years ago. I don't actually know the brand. They were just kind of cheap. It was when I was looking into buying like the Stila liquid eyeshadows, and these were a lot cheaper. But this is in the shade called One, but it's kind of, I'll swatch it on the back of my hand for you. Kind of a coppery metallic shade. So they're not like the Stila liquid shadows that I have, because the ones I have are glittery. These are metallic, and I think that this would make a really pretty cut crease, if you will. So I'm going to take this and cut out a crease on the inner half of the eye. I'm not going to take it all the way out. It's just going to go right on the inner half of the eye. So I'm going to get up real nice and close in here with my mirror. So I hope this isn't blocking anything for you guys. No, it should be good. And this should have enough pigment for me to cover that darker shadow. Okay. Now this has a pretty good doe foot applicator on it. It's not one that's too big or chunky, but you have something that's similar that does have too big of a doe foot applicator. You can always put some on the back of your hand, and then take like a concealer brush or a smaller defining brush, one that you're okay with getting a little product on. And actually this concealer brush should be okay. And using that instead. Honestly, a smaller brush would work better. My smaller concealer brush that I use is the one I use to carve out my brows, so I don't really want to get a metallic product on that, to be honest with you. As far as doing a cut crease, the only real technique I know is the same one everyone knows. You know, putting the product on and then opening your eye. And that works for hooded eyes. It doesn't really work for people with the deeper set eyes. The only thing I could think of for people with deeper set eyes is to just follow your natural socket, because you have those deeper set eyes. I would think that the natural socket would be a good line for you to follow, but honestly I don't know, because I don't have those eyes. I am not able to practice on them or to play around with them, so I'm sorry I don't have a tip for you guys. Somebody did ask me a question about that had deeper set eyes, and honestly I'm not really sure. I think I'm gonna let it dry for a minute, and then I think I'm gonna set it down with one of the shimmery shades in this palette. But I think that looks really pretty. The line's a little bit messy, but honestly I don't think that's gonna be a big deal. So I'm gonna take the shade called Sunshine. It's the shimmery shade down on the bottom of the palette. This is almost kind of a matte shimmery shade. I don't even know how to describe it. It's a really fine shimmer. It's not like some of the shimmers in this palette that are like chunky shimmer or almost a foil shimmer. This one's a really fine shimmer, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to set down that liquid shadow. We're going to take that brush that we used to lay down that darkest shade, and we're going to stipple right over the line of that shimmer and the dark shade. I'm going to go ahead and do the same to my other side, and I will be right back. I really like that. I think that's really pretty. I did get a little bit higher on this side, but honestly I think that's okay, because my right eye does not open as far as my left eye, so I think it'll balance out a little bit when I open my eyes. You'll kind of then end up seeing about the same amount. Let's go ahead and smoke out the lower lash line. I'm going to start with the shade called Cozy. It was that kind of burnt red shade we used. And I'm going to right up under that lash line. I want to go and darken it up just a hair more, so I'm going to take Fireside, which is that really dark shade that we used, and I'm going to go right under that lash line. I'm not going to take this as far down as the other one. I'm going to focus it basically right on the lash line. Now I'm going to take my Trestique eye pencil. This is actually the mini eye pencil in the shade Santorini Black Sand. And I'm gonna go ahead and give myself a smudgy liner on the top lash line. I'm gonna get up nice and close with a little mirror here. That way I can see what I'm doing. But I'm just gonna go and kind of right up along the lash line there on the top lashes. Actually, I almost feel like I need my finger. See, I had to use my finger a little bit to stretch my eye out over top of the that liquid eyeshadow. Just is kind of such a funky texture that it got a little bit hard to kind of get that product on there without getting really rough. So now I'm gonna take just kind of a flatter, like a liner brush would be good. And I'm gonna smudge it out just a little bit. Just to soften it up a little bit. So I think I want to give my eyes a break. Let's go ahead and move into the skin now, because pretty much all that's left is to finish up the lashes and an inner corner highlight, and I'm going to do that after we get the skin done. I have already done like all my moisturizer and that kind of stuff, but I haven't done primer. So for primer, because this is a holiday, it's going to be a long day and you want your skin to look good, I'm going to do 2 different primers today. I'm going to start with my Benefit Professional primer. This one is really good at filling in pores and giving you that really nice photo finish looking photo finish looking skin. So I'm going to use it, you know, right on the edge of the nose where I have a really large pores. And then down along my cheeks and stuff where I have more texture on the skin. And then of course the forehead. I'm pretty much going to cover my whole face with this stuff. And then the second primer I'm going to use is the e.l.f. Matte Putty Primer. I have been loving this primer. I feel like the matte aspect of it really helps absorb the oils, which kind of helps prolong the wear of your makeup, especially being that we have to wear masks and stuff all the time everywhere you go into a store or whatever. It doesn't completely keep your makeup from getting worn off, but I do feel like it helps keep the makeup on a little bit longer. For foundation, I wanted to choose something that I know is long wearing and also transfer proof. If you're going to be going somewhere where you have to wear a mask, transfer proof is good. This is the Urban Decay Stay Naked Foundation. I wear the shade 10 CP, and I'm going to use a Morphe M6 brush today to apply that. Yes, it is a little dirty. I need to clean my foundation brush out, but I didn't, so, you know. I love using a brush with my foundations. I just haven't done it in a long time. I kind of just get in the habit of using a sponge, but when I've already done my eyes, I really like to use the brush because I can really focus and maneuver that product around the eyes and the brows and stuff. Once I have my foundation on, I take my beauty sponge, which has been dampened, and buff it out because brushes for some reason always tend to leave streaks and stuff in my foundation. Especially if they're dirty brushes and they have old foundation in them. So it's just best to take a wet beauty sponge and buff them out. Plus this helps melt that foundation into the skin. For concealer, I'm going to use the Tarte Shape Tape again. I use the shade Porcelain Beige. Now I'm going to go ahead and bake using my Anastasia Beverly Hills Loose Setting Powder in the shade Translucent. Haven't used this setting powder in a really long time. Pretty much always use my Coty Translucent Airspun powder. This one's very brightening, very whitening. Like I only use it for special occasions kind of thing. Like it's very pretty, but it is a lot. I'm gonna set the end of my nose with it. And the sides of my nose as well. Also my chin and my smile lines. And then I've been baking the creases on my forehead. Above my brows, I get just these creases. They're not really forehead wrinkles yet. I'm sure they will be one day, but right now I just get like these creases above my brows. So I have been baking those as well. While we're letting that bake, I'm gonna go ahead and start setting the rest of my skin. Normally, I would like move on to my eyes or something else, but we already did that today. So I'm gonna use my e.l.f. Sheer Tint Finishing Powder in the shade Fair. And I'm not gonna sweep away that baking. I'm just gonna kind of set around it for now. Now let's sweep away that baking. See how bright those under eyes look? I am going to take a little bit of that setting powder and just run it over the top of it, just because that setting powder to me is so bright. I don't know. Let's warm up our skin as we're looking a little bit flat, a little matte, a little too, I don't know. So I'm going to use my Urban Decay Beached Bronzer in the shade Bronzed. Then after I contour my nose, I'm going to take this brightening powder. This one is from Mary Kay. And I'm going to take this chisel brush. I'm going to go right up the center of my nose. Just to kind of, I don't know, clean up that a little bit. Go up the center of my nose, and I'm going to right up under the eye and up the sides of the nose, just to really clean that contour up. And I just feel like it really makes that nose contour look super sharp and clean. Let's take our highlighter. This is one of my favorite fall highlights. I really need to buy a new one. I have used this highlighter a lot over the years, and she has just been used and abused. And yes, I know she looks really sad. This is a Rodeo Drive from Ofra. She is a gorgeous highlight. You can see how much I have loved her. Something about this highlight just is, I don't know, stunning. She beams without being too overpowering, and it just is the right, I don't know, amount of warmth and cool tone for my skin. It's a very gold highlight, but without being too dark, and a lot of times gold highlights don't look good on my skin tone, and this one is perfect for me. And I think this highlight, something about it, just like it speaks fall to me. It just has that perfect fall tones to me. And so I use it a lot during the fall time. I'm also going to take a little down the bridge of the nose. And I went on the Cupid's bow. But I really need to order a new one. I don't know why I don't. I just haven't. But I love that highlight so much. And then let's move into blush. I've been putting my blush on after my highlight recently. Well, not recently. It's something I do off and on. I have been kind of back into it. I just think it kind of ties the highlight and bronzer together. This is the Morphe 9N palette, and I think I want to go in with this really light blush down here. And actually, let's mix it with the shade on the opposite side of the palette. This kind of darker, almost has a bit of brown to it maybe. Yeah, that looks really pretty. I just think putting the blush over top of the highlight adds a really pretty look. It ties that bronzer and highlight together. Sometimes the highlight, I feel, can leave the look a little bit streaky, especially if it's a really strong highlight. And sometimes I feel like the highlight can kind of almost cover up that blush. So I like, I don't know, doing it afterwards. I'm gonna put a little bit on the forehead just because I can. Because, oh, why not? And as you saw, I threw a little bit on the end of my nose. For inner corner highlight, I'm going to go in with Flexitarian from ColourPop. This is a beautiful highlight in general, but I think it's a beautiful inner corner highlight as well. Now let's give our skin a nice meltdown. I'm going to take my e.l.f. Mist and Set. If you had the Urban Decay All Nighter or De-Slick spray, one of those, a really good, super long wearing setting spray, that would be good. This is just the one I happen to have at the moment. This is a brand new pair of lashes. Now these lashes are a really full pair of lashes, really dense and beautiful. Now they say Russian volume, but this is not a pair of Russian volume lashes. I bought these because they said Russian volume, and Russian volume is like my favorite pair of lashes. But then when I got home and I compared them to my actual pair of Russian volume lashes that I always buy, I'm like, these are not the same lashes. So I threw these in a drawer and was like, I'll save these for a special occasion. And I think a holiday like Thanksgiving is a special occasion. So if you're more into a more natural looking pair of lashes, then go ahead and wear those. I normally would wear a true pair of Russian volume lashes, but these are what I had in my drawer. And I do think that these are gorgeous lashes. They're just a little more intense than I would usually go for, but I have them, so I'm gonna wear them. I wish I could tell you what the style name actually is. I'm going to go ahead and trim these lashes and throw them on, and I will be right back, you guys. Okay, so these lashes ended up being a lot more than I had expected, so I'm probably gonna take these off and throw a different pair on because they're too much. Like, they're beautiful, but they are way too much for me. I'm sorry, but I feel a little bit like drag queen in these lashes. Like, they're too much for me. Like, they're a lot. I can't do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw on a different pair of lashes really quickly. Yeah, those lashes are a little more my level. These are either a pair of Russian volumes or a pair of cashmere. So I can't remember. These are just a pair of old used lashes I had sitting on the desk over there. So that's what I grabbed. That's what I threw on. Let's go ahead and finish off this look with a lip. Let's see. What did I grab? Let's start with, I'm going to use my Kylie lip liner in the shade Kylie. I'm going to top it off with this ColourPop liquid lip in the shade called Beeper. It's a really pretty dark nude. I think will look really pretty with this eye look on top of that Kylie lip liner. Let's add just a little bit of dimension to the center of the lip. So I'm going to take, let's take Noble from KVD Beauty, or Cosmetics, or whatever they're called. Add just like a little bit of brightness right in the center, not even a lot, just a little bit, just to add just a little dimension. I think it looks really, really pretty. I love the way this look turned out. I think this is a really pretty Thanksgiving look. We've got the little bit of gold with some of those warm browns. To me, just are like everything Thanksgiving all tied into one. Let me know what you guys think about this look down below. I definitely think those first lashes were too much for this look, at least too much for my eyes. My eyes are too small, and I think they were just way too overpowering. Overall, enjoyed this look. My one kind of irritation with this look is that this cut crease ended up a little bit higher than this one, and that is just, you know, just happens sometimes. I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, but overall I'm really happy with how this look turned out. Like I said, let me know what you guys think. I hope everyone has a really safe and happy Thanksgiving. If you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Bye.